focusing on playing really loose and really aggressive. I just sat down at the tables, just went through an orbit or so while I was setting up the video. Won a small pot with King Queen. I raised the button and card lever 70 called. Flop was King 8-6, something like that. Yeah, King 8-6. He check called the turn, and then check folded the river. So I made a little bit of money so far. I've already 3-bet Furious before one time. Just gonna keep 3-betting him. I feel like he's gonna adjust poorly, and eventually he's gonna make a stand with a hand that he normally wouldn't. Maybe like an Ace-4 suited, something like that. Maybe King Queen. I just want to keep putting pressure on him, mostly in position. I'm going to be a little bit tighter out of position, just because I feel like if we keep 3-betting him, he's going to be more focused on calling in position and trying to outplay us. I don't really know how good of a player he is, but it's just a spot where if I'm getting frustrated, I would be calling a lot in position and trying to like hit a flop and stack what is, supposedly a strong hand, when in actuality it's going to be us having like a weak ace or some kind of random bluff. Excuse me. I get 3-bet with ace jack, and it's his first 3-bet. He's playing pretty tight. You'll have to excuse my dog. She's going nuts. But it's his first 3-bet, and I really don't know anything about him, so I assume he's just going to be really tight and really weighted towards value hands there. So I'm just going to fold the ace jack, even though it was a pretty hand. I'm not too worried about it. And so in this video, I didn't really table select at all. I just picked the first 2 open tables. I didn't really have a plan towards getting tables with mostly regulars or anything. It looks like that's how it worked out, but I just sat at the first 2 open tables that I saw. So D99999 opens in the small blind. I assume he's going to be doing that with a really wide range, so I'm going to 3-bet with anything that's suited or connected, or anything that just has potential to flop well. And you see that I'm flopping very well today. I flop a pair and flush draw and just bet half pot, trying to get him to spaz out with air, or get him to come along with a hand that we have a lot of equity against, like with an ace 10 or ace 9 or whatever. Turn second nuts. I'm just gonna min bet. I really feel like he's gonna PO with any pair there, but I don't really feel like he has anything a lot of the time. Check out this hand. So Dr. X might be a little bit of a station. Once he checks behind with second pair and calls turn and river bets. I mean, granted it was a good call, but once he starts checking the flop back and we have a hand that's just primarily air, I'm going to be more inclined to not bet it because I think he's going to call turn and river bets. So it's good to know that if he's checking behind flops, probably a good amount of the time he has showdown value and isn't going to fold. And so blind versus blind, we had ace queen, and Bursma, who I have no idea who he is, but he's from Amsterdam, so he's probably kind of crazy. He 3-bets us blind versus blind, and I'm just going to 4-bet call with ace queen there. It's just too strong of a hand not to. Dr. X snap checks. I'm gonna go ahead and bet really small. I feel like he's checking his entire range there, and I want to get him to come along with his weaker hands, so maybe if I bet a little smaller, he might think I'm more inclined to be bluffing. We turn equity with Ace-Jack. I called the flop. He led for $1 into the $2 pot. I was planning on raising heart turns, and we turn a little bit more equity, but I feel like he has a decent hand here when he leads twice. I kind of want to call and just hit a heart and see what he does. So we hit a heart, pretty standard, and he checks. I don't think he'd be checking a set here. And I think this is a really good spot for an overbet, because he's going to have like 10x, maybe 7s, something in that area a lot of the time, and I don't feel like he's going to call too much, but he might call if I bet like 550. So I just want to bet a decent amount, because I feel like he's almost always betting flushes on the river, assuming he would lead into me twice with them, which I really don't think he would. But if he did, he'd be betting his flushes when they come in on the river. And so when he checks, I feel like he could possibly bet fold a set. So when he checks, I feel like he has a pretty weak hand. And here I'm not even gonna fire, because it's a board where he's probably got ace-x. It's his first 3-bet that he's defended, so I feel like he is just gonna have like ace-10 there, a decent amount. And even if he did have like a smaller pair, like 9s or whatever, he probably wasn't gonna fold unless I fired 3 barrels, and I wasn't gonna do that. But back to the ace-jack hand. It's just a spot where if he has a good hand on the river, he's going to be firing, because he's going to expect me to check behind with my weaker hands. And so because of that, he just has a weak hand a lot of the time, but he could talk himself into check calling if I bet like 2/3 pot. So I just decide to overbet, and if he wants to make a good call, good for him. But I just don't think that he's going to call like ever there. If a non-heart came, assuming it wasn't a 3, I would probably just be folding to his bet. I don't feel like he's going to be doing anything like bet folding a 10 there. I feel like if he's betting, it's to bet call, because all the draws missed, and he just isn't going to believe me if I raise, which makes it a really good spot to raise for value. Say if an ace came, or even if a jack came, I'd probably be raising if he bet into us. The pot was, I believe, 5-ish. Let me check. The pot was 9, so he'd probably be betting like 4 or 5 to go along with his betting pattern of 3rd pot, less than half pot, whatever. So if he bet like 5 there, I'd probably raise to like 13 if the river was an ace or a jack, because I expect him to bet call with like 10-9 or with pocket 8s there. But if the river was a blank that didn't improve us, or was a heart that improved us, so to speak, I would just be folding to his bet, because he's just not going to be giving me any credit for any hand.